system would, unless you have a coach that is tuned into you, into your physiology, into your, your nutrition, into your personal habits, it sounds like this system would lift a huge burden that would normally have to be carried by a world-class coach.
Absolutely. So I think there's the time involved and the commitment involved to see all of those things. But then for a coach that is doing that is delivering that kind of result or that kind of service, the hands-on, the knowing, the nutrition, knowing all those things, that coach is only able to handle a handful of athletes. So their population from which they derive all of their experience or apply all of their knowledge or accreditation or whatever education they have is on a very, very limited population. And so if you look at that limited population and see how many of those athletes are 53 years old with no background versus 22 years old with a cross-country and Division I running background, it's hard for them to see patterns when they trial and error and do different things. They don't know what to attribute it to. While they have a ton of data and they're watching the athlete very closely and they know exactly what's going on, they're applying theory to an athlete in a population of one. Whereas when we're able to do it with this large numbers, we can just, out of the sheer numbers, choose all the people that fit a certain demographic and monitor their training, and we're doing it in the same way, measuring it in the same way, and being able to see what is effective and what's not. You mentioned earlier about the weight training and how that works, and when we have different levels, obviously, of coaching, some are more attentive and hands-on, more communication. Every athlete gets the same quality training program itself, and honestly that gets most athletes to 90-95% of their potential just training them right. And some of the values that you look at every single day, unless the sleep's way off, there's some fatigue factors of just lack of sleep, stress on the job. Some of those over time can have a big effect, but a lot of times that is noise data, and there's bigger variances due to things that are fluctuating and temporary. And if you watch those too closely, you can get distracted by them and start changing training due to extraneous data that is going to be flushed out over time versus just training through at different parts or having built-in little buffers that help you diminish and regulate your training on certain days. And we found more success with that. We've had, a year ago, I know there's a point where we had 6 of our professional athletes who were all training at the highest level that they had in their entire career in every single discipline, and they had all also had the longest period of injury-free due to training. One of them fell down a ladder, another one wrecked on a mountain bike. But other than that, all of them had the longest injury-free period that they'd ever had in their career at the same time. So all of that, comes into play, I guess, when you're looking at the population size, and in combination with the service of the coach who's dedicated and watching you and communicating and following what you're doing.
It sounds like it's almost like a